Hello and welcome back. It's a little chilly out today. It's about, I don't actually even know how chilly it is. 63 it said it was. So today I wanted a crack at the 6011 once again because I felt like last time I didn't actually achieve what I wanted to achieve. There was a lot to learn about the 6011 and what it actually does. So because of all the struggles I had with recently the 6011, the 7018, originally the 6013, ever since the beginning, if you go back and watch some of my videos, link right here I think, you'll see that I've always thought that maybe the Everlast wasn't actually putting out the power that it actually says it is, or maybe I was having a wall outlet problem. So because of that, I went and bought a multimeter that allows me to test the amperage and the volts coming out of the wall. And because the vast majority of what I do is solo, I needed one of these bad boys right here, which is a clamp that goes around the cable like so. Also, in an effort to give you guys better audio, and I try to give you better visuals and stuff like that, I got a different microphone on today. It's actually under my shirt, so if you hear like rustling and anything, I'm still working out the kinks and stuff like that. But here, let me just show you. I'm using one of these little Rode wireless Go's, and literally I'm just taping it to my shirt instead of one of these shotgun mics that are like this. And just to show you guys that I've really been trying to give you better visuals and stuff like that, I actually I actually stuck one of these bad boys on my welding helmet so that I can connect my GoPro to see if I can give you that literal like POV shot kind of look. And see, this is, I don't know if you guys can see that. Let me see if I can get it to, maybe you guys can see like the crack right there, obviously, and all the little speckles from the hot metal coming up and hitting what is now the second lens that I've destroyed in trying to give you guys better, more accurate and detailed visuals. So the point of all that was really to tell you guys that I felt like a failure at the 6011. I just didn't, wasn't really ready for the couple of things that 6011 was. I didn't mention this earlier. So it's a really fast drying puddle. And I kept saying that it was violent, but it's just a lot of sparks and stuff like that. And that part I haven't really worked out. Full disclosure, I did go back and really look at what I welded with the 6011, kind of thought about everything. And then I also went and just ran some simple beads straight across on a piece of metal and had to really kind of figure out how to get it lit and how not to get it lit and those kinds of things. There is a little bit of technique with it, and that comes with obviously practice. And so I did figure out like a little bit of a technique. I can tell you that I can light it up better when the welding rods are shorter because they don't wobble around all over the place as you're striking the metal when it's like really, really long. So as you saw, I was able to test that Everlast with that the multimeter that I had purchased to make sure that as I was welding, it was actually getting the amperage. Most of the amperage that was coming through as I was welding was within 1 or 2, maybe 3 amps of what like I had set the dial at.
Unless you've got power!
And basically what I did in running those practice beads with the 6011 across the just flat plain metal, I basically bumped the amperage. In bumping the amperage, it definitely made it easier to strike. The 6011, I even tested 6013. I brought that back down to 65 amps on cold metal, and it strikes. So we're here today to try and test out the 6011 and see if I can duplicate the fact that I was able to get it to strike reasonably easy with just bumping the amperage. The problem I run into now, though, is that because I'm only running this system on 120 volts, I'm running into basically the cap of what this machine is able to do, which is 90 amps. So most of the 6011 that I've done, and you'll see in a minute, I did at 80, 85, and even sometimes 90. But again, as you warm up the metal, it's easier to strike, so you can actually dial some of that amperage back as the metal warms up some. So take that for what it is. So I hope I haven't bored you with all of those like kind of nerdy experiences, geeky specs and whatnot or whatever. This welding journey's been kind of an interesting one to say the least, and today we're back at the 6011 right now, and I think we got it. All right, this is super cold metal right here, but I'm gonna try and hit this at 85 amps, and hopefully we can duplicate the welds that we did the other day. Here we go. All right, so I won't say it's pretty. Let me turn this off, hold on. As you can see, I won't say it's pretty or anything like that, but it definitely is able to strike up with a lot less resistance. The metal was cold. I had that at 85 amps to jump start everything. There was still a little bit of sputtering out, but what I did notice about 6011 is that it's really, really finicky in how you hold the arc. Obviously, it has obviously, as I mentioned, it has a really, really fast drying puddle. So what I discovered is like when you accidentally put the rod back into the actual puddle itself, because it's cooling so fast, it kind of puts it all out. So if you were to kind of hold it like a, you know, like an 1/8 inch over the metal or over an 1/8 inch over the workpiece, it tends to have a more consistent, I guess, arc and weld, so that you can kind of, you know, obviously move and maneuver the way you need to. All right, flip the workpiece over. I'm gonna do the other side of the lap joint. I also took this down to 80 amps instead of 85 this time. Man, there's like an airplane flying overhead like every 5 minutes today. Okay, to date, I'll try and zoom in on that for you, but that's probably the best 6011 weld that I've been able to do so far. The one thing that I neglected to mention up till now was I had obviously extensive talks with my friend about the power delivery and you know, all the difficulties in striking and stuff like that. And what I did do, or what I started to do with the 6011 was, because it was so hot and the puddle would dry so fast, that he told me to do this method called whip and pause, which I don't even know what direction it was, but I was just kind of like, here, I'll try and do it. So basically what I would do was I would pull away from where it was welding and come back and it would stack itself on top of each other, as you can see here, because it was so fast, because the weld puddle would cool off so fast that it would form these kind of like little, they call them dimes. All right, let's see if I can get that. That was the first side. I did at 85 amps. I was going a little too fast, obviously. This was the second side. I would say that, you know, the weld itself obviously looks a lot better. I still think that at 80 it's probably too hot, and you know, when you get down to here towards the edge, you can see how much of it. You can see how much of it actually tries to eat away to weld the lap joint. But obviously I would have to push this metal a lot further into its extreme, but you know, as it stands right now, I'm definitely not pulling that apart or bending it or anything like that. So you know, for a simple lap weld, it'll hold. For structural stuff, I mean, I couldn't tell you, that's beyond my means of testing or anything. But yeah, 6011, you saw I struck it a lot faster. I just pushed the amperage up more. I guess in further testing, I can come down a little bit more and just utilize quote unquote better technique to get it to strike. But as you can see today, I did not even prep the metal. I just literally clamped it together and bam, went at it.
Okay.
Success with the 6011 today. Let me get rid of all this. Now, I won't say that the 6011 was pretty in how I weld it. Still a beginner here, still learning on a daily basis. I do actually prefer the way that the 6011 dimes look when you stack them through the whip and pause method. I haven't perfected it as compared to the 6013, because the 6013 is basically a drag rod. So you just basically like stick the rod into the workpiece joint that you're trying to weld. weld and drag it along. I've read in a bunch of places that it says that, you know, if you're having a hard time striking, basically just increase the amperage. But the point of this wasn't to just continually increase the amperage until you blow a hole through your workpiece, because if I was working on something that was, you know, for a client or more delicate or something like that, I don't want to just blow through the work. I don't want to just blow through the metal. I will say I was getting to the point of wanting to quit and give up on this really frustrating process, because, you know, spending an hour literally just sticking the welding rod to the workpiece the whole time was no fun at all. But getting it to strike and being able to run a full bead was actually really satisfying, and that's kind of like where I'm getting to now. So the point of this is to just keep going. Even though I haven't recorded everything, I have been practicing off camera to try and be able to give you guys obviously better content and be able to show you, you know, as best I can how the progress is going, one, and how each piece looks after I try. So that's gonna do it for us today. I do hope that the audio wasn't too distracting because it was different. Hopefully there wasn't too much babbling in this video and you guys enjoyed the content and watched the progress. You guys make sure you join me for the next one. Thanks for liking, subscribing, comment if you got anything out of this, because I sure did. See you guys soon.